Presidential candidate Lindsey Graham sat down with Chuck Todd, and he laid out what is quite possibly the worst foreign policy plan ever devised. You don't believe me? Listen.
If I were president, the first thing I would announce is I'd arm the Ukrainians so they can fight for their own freedom. I'd leave a residual force behind in Afghanistan, and I would send more troops into Iraq to accelerate their ability to reconstitute their army so they could deny ISIL some havens in Iraq. Now, Syria is the hard one. I'd ask Egypt, I'd ask Turkey, and the regional allies we have to form an army, and we'd be part of that army, and we'd go in and take territory back from ISIL, and we'd have to hold it. Then you try to get political reconciliation between the Alawites and the rest of the population in Syria.
How do you get out?
You don't get out. You don't get out.
So that's what you have to set up the country for. So guess what? We're never going to get out. No. We're going to have to manage the Middle East militarily. I was just going to say, yes. You believe you have to manage it the way we've managed Japan and Germany?
I think you have to be involved in the Mideast militarily, politically, economically.
So in other words, do the exact thing that makes us a target in the first place. That's your answer. Your answer is to create more of the problem. Now understand that's not just my opinion. We've covered the studies before on this show. The war on terror has created more terrorists. If the goal was, when you went into it, we need to limit the number of people in the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and other jihadist organizations, and that's why we're doing what we're doing here, to get revenge for 9/11 and to do that. Well, guess what? The exact opposite has happened. You want to know why? Because you went in there and killed so many people indiscriminately that you took people who were otherwise moderate and they turned to extremism. Because they viewed it as, well, now we need to protect ourselves against the invading army, the Americans, who killed my cousin and killed my aunt. So now, I wasn't on the side of the Taliban before, but now I'm going to join them because they say that, hey, now we're just protecting our country from big bad America. Lindsey, your policy has been responsible for many of the problems that were created in the first place. As many people have rightly pointed out, there was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq before we invaded. After we invaded, they came in there. And then, do we need to give you a lesson every time when we discuss the issue of Iraq? How if we never went in the first place and didn't de-Ba'athify the government, then the secular Sunnis, Saddam's generals who know how to do war, would have never linked up with ISIS, the Sunni fundamentalists, to then take vast swaths of land. Remember, man, the religious lunatics are religious lunatics. They're not smart enough to do military strategy. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. But it's because Saddam's former generals, the secular Sunni Baathists, were pissed off at the Shias and America that they teamed up with them. That's why they teamed up with them, and that's how they've been so successful. And they got all their fucking Humvees and tanks. Story we did yesterday, 2,300 Humvees are now in the hands of ISIS. Guess who provided those Humvees to the Iraqi army in the first place? Us! If we never gave it to them, they wouldn't have the 2,300 Humvees. The same thing happened with Reagan and the Mujahideen in the 80s. We funded them because they were fighting the Soviet Union, and then eventually the Mujahideen became the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they fought us with the weapons we gave them. But your answer is more of the same, more of the same. You heard him. He said, quote, "You don't get out." Chuck Todd asked him, okay, well, how are we going to get out of there? And what's the plan for that? Quote, "You don't get out." Hey, by the way, buddy, whatever happened to fiscal conservatism? Whatever happened to that? I mean, this is something that these guys claim to believe in. We believe in small government, except when it comes to war. Then I want as big government as humanly possible. Or subsidizing Wall Street with corporate welfare checks. As long as they're rich and white and they wear a suit and tie, they could raid the treasury and take billions of dollars, and I'm on their side. So you believe in small government, except for when you don't. If it's locking up people for smoking weed or getting involved with reproductive choices for women, there you want gigantic government. For war, Lindsey Graham wants the biggest government that is possible. He's saying, I want to go places and not leave. So you want to waste billions, if not trillions of dollars occupying the world. All places that we had an issue with, go in there and don't leave. Whatever happened to fiscal conservatism? Whatever happened to small government? You don't think that money's better spent here in Detroit, for example, where government officials tell us we can't afford to turn the water back on? You'd rather spend that money by setting up a fucking base in Fallujah? Get the fuck out of here, man. You're just not a smart person, Lindsey. What do you want me to tell you? That's the reality of it. He said, he started off, everything he said there was wrong and stupid. Arm the Ukrainians. Why? Why? Why would we arm the Ukrainians? So we can continue the proxy war with Russia in the region and further escalate the situation to where they will inevitably do something in return that will then drag us further into a conflict so we could march towards World War III with Russia? Really? That's what you want to do? Arm the Ukrainians. Stay in Afghanistan. Now, here's what I love about this. And this is what's so amazing about today's Republican Party. They have no clue how unpopular their ideas are. He says it like it's a brilliant thing, and he's got a horde of people behind him that are cheering him on. Yeah, stay in Afghanistan. They did a poll recently on this. You know what percentage of the American people want to stay in Afghanistan? 17%. That's fewer people than supported the Vietnam War when Vietnam was at its most unpopular point. Lindsey Graham is now cheerleading that war. Hey, why don't you cheerlead for getting back into Vietnam while we're at it? As long as we're supporting wildly unpopular wars that are totally ineffective, then why not argue for that? And by the way, why? Why would we get back in Afghanistan? Because the Taliban's going to set up Sharia and we need to protect the people. You care about Sharia all of a sudden? So let's invade Saudi Arabia. They have an official Sharia state. They behead people for sorcery and atheism and witchcraft. Women are covered from head to toe. Let's invade them. Oh, you don't want to do that because they're our oil butt buddy. All right, well, let's invade Brunei. They just implemented Sharia law last year. It's fresh there. Let's invade and stop it. Oh, you don't? You want to let them into the TPP so we could trade with them because we get cheap labor from them so we don't give a fuck that they do Sharia law? Oh, I see. So you're just a hypocrite. You just want to use American military power because you want to use American military power, and that's it. There's no morality here. He might think it's morality, but he's just an idiot who doesn't recognize that we're contradicting ourselves all over the place. And he said, go back to Iraq. And in Syria, of course, arm the rebel fighters and get with Turkey and other Sunni leaders in the region, and then we fight back against who? He doesn't even clarify that. You want to know why he doesn't clarify it? Because he can't clarify that. Because at one time he supported toppling Assad, the Shia leader, the authoritarian leader in the region. Then he flipped to, well, now we need to just fight ISIS. Well, ISIS are the people that are fighting Assad. So you went from, I want to fight Assad, to, I want to be allies with Assad. Which is it, tough guy? Which one do you believe? Who do you want to fight? Oh, no, what we should do is we should team up with other Sunnis to go in there and fight the Sunnis or the Shias, or we could fight both of them, or I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. All I know is I want more war! More war! More war! Lindsey, this is supposed to be a representative democracy. What you're arguing for is to do the exact opposite. Why the fuck would anybody vote for you?